Week 17 in the NFL is here. Our last real week of real week of football. Let's start off strong here. Last real week of football before the playoffs start because week 18 is going to be a dumpster fire. You know what that means, guys? Time to dig in one more time. Prepare for the DFS main slate coming up on Sunday. That means looking at projections from our friends over at Stochastic. We'll see who the top plays are, who the best value plays are. We'll see who the chalkiest plays are over there. We'll hop over to ETR, see what they have for us, what our cash game build is, along with any sims they might have available. We'll run sims on ETR and Stochastic. I'll do a hand build. And by the end of this video, guys, you're going to know all the must plays for week 17. So let's get into it here. Shout out to all you guys that watched the Christmas video. First of all, big change you'll notice here. Shout out to all you guys. Hope you had a good Christmas. Hope it was good for your family time. It was good for your personal time, whatever you're doing out there. So appreciate that a bunch. Appreciate the chats here. We got some good morning sweet pea from our guy Kyle here. Robert Griffin the Turd, good Christmas thumbnails. Grinch on Wednesday and Kevin McAllister today. Yeah, Joe Burrow does have a youthful Macaulay Culkin face for sure. But I appreciate all you guys who did watch the video. Again, really didn't love how the content of the video went because of the fact that one guy making multiple troll accounts, it always distracts me. So we are doing the same thing we're doing on the NBA channel. We're just going to go members only chat moving forward. If you want to participate in the live chat, join here. Click the join button down below. And if you don't want to comment after the fact, you still can no matter what you are. I do appreciate all the free members too that are good guys and guys I like, but unfortunately we just got to move here so I can focus on the content more, make sure I'm providing the service I need because like 3,000 people watched that video as opposed to 150, 200 people live. So gotta optimize more for the people watching after the fact. And I appreciate all you guys who are members who are in the chat now. And that's all I'm going to say right now. Yes, small members, gigantic members chat only right now. But let's get into it. We got our top projected plays and the guy who is making me apprehensive on the thumbnail. It's not Macaulay Culkin. It is, in fact, Joe Burrow. He has a 22.2 projection on him. Your highest projected guy in the slate. High value metric as well. Also means he will probably be, at least according to Stochastic data, our cash game QB. 20% ownership is so much for a QB on a main slate. And obviously, a Cincinnati-Arizona game, one that people were highlighting for week 17 correlations, your Joe Burrow stacks, your Trey McBrides. Some of those might still be alive out there for any of you guys still around in the finals. Hopefully not in the two tournaments that I'm in. But still, the stack can definitely hit this week. I think it's still one that looks as good as it did back in February, March, April, I guess when we knew the actual game. So May, June, July. But for Joe Burrow here, it's a lot of ownership for a QB. In yesterday's slate, we did see Dak Prescott hit as a very obvious chalk play. That was a 3-game slate where 3 of the QBs were Max Brosmer, Josh Johnson, and Chris Oladokun. So not really the best talent there going against, as leverage against Dak Prescott. And even still, the stack didn't hit. Like awful games from CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, and then Ferguson got hurt. So the entire thing kind of fell apart for the Dak stack, besides Dak himself and Kevontae Turpin. For Joe Burrow, I don't think that's going to be the case necessarily, but you see 20% ownership for Joe Burrow, 45% for Jamar Chase. It's all a lot going to one particular spot, to one particular thing hitting. And obviously, if Burrow hits, but T. Higgins gets there, if Burrow hits with Gesicki and Chase Brown, I don't know, or if just the run game gets there with Chase Brown, there's ways that this can fail, and it's a lot of the field expect to be here. I expect the number to move a little bit when Stochastic updates. Their last update was for Christmas Day here, so they probably updated it right after the slate ended yesterday, and that was about it. I think it'll change a little bit as we get to the data tomorrow, Sunday. For Burrow and Jamar Chase, though, with 20% ownership for Burrow, 45% for Jamar Chase, you get it with their projections. Price tag's not that bad either. Burrow at 6,500, Chase at 8,300. This is an incredibly concentrated amount of ownership on just one stack. So keep that in mind. Obviously a good play. And if you are playing it, I mean, you got to tack on more stack partners for the Bengals, a bring back from the Cardinals. You have a lot of options to go through there. But that's sort of how I try to view it, because this is going to be the most obvious mega chalk we've had really the entire year. You got to pay to be an asshole around here. That is true. That is true. Especially in these small members chat. You got to pay to be a big asshole. We got Drake May, 21.9 projection, facing the moribund Jets. 3.2x value for him. Drake May also going to be about 20% owned in this data. You never see this with 2 QBs taking up 40% of the ownership on a main slate where, we have, 5 games kicking off before the main slate. Those 10 teams are not going to be available. But it's still enough teams, enough games you could go to that have theoretically appealing environments. Even if they don't, like something can hit that's an outlier. It's crazy to see both Burrow and Drake May, and frankly, especially Drake May, with how hard it is to figure out who his stack partners are. Everybody always wants to go to Diggs. Everybody always wants to go to Hunter Henry. But you do occasionally have, frequently have your Keyshawn Buttes hitting. You have your other guys. Mac Hollins has hit before this year. So if I had to choose between the chalky QBs, I think I'd go Burrow. But this is, again, a lot of ownership expected for Burrow and May, despite really nice projections for them at QB. JSN facing a Carolina team, not particularly good in the secondary. Better run defense, but even that I think has gotten worse as the year goes on, which is funny given the fact that they are competing for an actual divisional title at this point. But Carolina's defense on the year giving up 0.12 EPA per dropback, 0.13 EPA per pass. In the red zone, it doesn't get better with a 0.2 EPA per red zone pass. So no underlying strength there for the Carolina defense. For JSN, a guy that we know has the massive ceiling, but lately that's been a little bit harder to find. He was good in that last game versus the Rams, but maybe he wasn't the outlier, especially compared to Puka Nacua, and then the same spot on the other team. But JSN, a 21.4 projection here, good matchup, 26% ownership. Curious to see how this all comes together because this is a really concentrated amount of ownership for our two QBs and then Chasen and Jigba. So I think a lot of those lineups might look the same in stochastic data, at least as of right now. But definitely JSN worth the ownership here, and it does seem like he is optimal more than he's going to be owned at a 29% optimal rate compared to about 26% ownership. And number 5, Trevor Lawrence at 20.6 projection. He's been good facing a Colts team that I think earlier, maybe honestly a month ago, would have looked like this would have been the big battle for the AFC South. Now Trevor Lawrence seemingly pulling safely ahead of a Colts team that is not competing for much, but Phillip Rivers has been viable enough. Obviously looked good for us when I made the big stand on him in the showdown slate of Monday Night Football. But I think Trevor Lawrence in this spot, running more, obviously, you have Jacoby Myers getting the big new deal. He's been the Cooper Kupp role in this Liam Cohen hybrid of a Sean McVay offense. Brian Thomas has been okay lately. You still have Bretton Strange out there. Obviously, Travis Etienne has had the big workload in the past game. I don't expect that to happen every week. But you have a lot of options. You can go to the stack up with Trevor Lawrence. I've not been crazy about the Trevor Lawrence renaissance. Like, I had a few of him in his 50-point days. Last week, I did not chase it in Denver. But this spot, I mean, also 19% ownership. This can't be right. 3 QBs making up 60% of the ownership is impossible. I find that really hard to believe. But Lawrence has been great lately. I do think the field will be there. But right now, stochastic has him being overowned with 19% expected ownership and an 11% optimal rate. Sort by value here. Top value plays. So this is a week where we actually have a decent value. Brock Bowers on IR for the year, so he is done. If you're going against him in best ball, I don't know how much he advanced out there. That's one guy that has a ceiling that's no longer available in the slate. I am also personally praying that George Kittle plays, but it's neither here nor there. Michael Mayer, 2,500, facing a dog shit Giants team. This is your tank bowl here. Whoever loses this game will be in pole position to finish with the number 1 overall pick. So, but there are 2 coaches that are not playing for that kind of thing. Pete Carroll thinks that he's going to be employed and going to keep steering the Raiders ship in perpetuity. Not sure if that's going to be the case. For the Giants, you have Kafka on that side playing for his job. I'm sure he thinks he can win the job outright by coaching well down the home stretch. So he will probably not be willing to throw in the towel in this game. But Michael Mayer's at $2,500 salary. So that's really the big thing here. He'll be out there playing the lion's share of snaps, and he's cheap enough, getting a 9.4 projection. So Michael Mayer, I mean, probably your first cash game player in no matter what, and also a good large field play. To be able to save that much money, be able to afford the guys that we know are playing for something right now, whether that is just playoff positioning, getting into the playoffs, or just the fact that, these guys aren't going to phone it in a week 17. Week 18, yes. Week 17, no. So Michael Mayer here looking good. Joe Burrow, 22%, 22 fantasy points we talked about, still our top value here at number 2. He is too cheap for a guy who is the top projected player in the slate. So got to imagine he'll make a ton of lineups for stochastic users. And again, that could pay off, but it's a lot of ownership for a QB. And I do think QB being the most volatile position, you want to go a little bit further down the dumpster dive chain, go to other guys, even just go to QBs that aren't owned. I mean, Bryce Young's technically a dumpster dive, but like a guy like that, I just always believe in playing those guys more than just leaning into the chalk at QB, because if you do hit those, unique stack partners with your QB, or just, the QB himself has the upside, you're able to vault the field more, and people always just lock into chalk QBs more than they should. But Burrow projects really well. The data supports why he is as chalky as he is. And I don't think it's quite as much of a case for like Drake May and Trevor Lawrence, but we'll see when we get there. Tyler Shuck, your number 3 value, 17.6 projection, 3.4x value for him. Only 6% ownership, facing Tennessee, who has been a fairly hapless overall on defense this season. Tennessee, not see this game, not a great total, only 39.5 implied points. But 2 defenses that are not particularly good, but Tennessee in particular is bad. 0.1 EPA per dropback, 0.11 EPA per pass allowed. Red zone pass rate, 0.15 EPA for those plays. So for Tyler Shuck, not the most exciting player himself in the world. But the running game is not really there at this point with Estime and Evan Hull doing the work. Like, I think Estime He didn't pay off last week. He should have. The underlying numbers still look decent for him, but they're not committed to give him the full workload. So I'm not sure that he's a viable enough play at 4,900. So you're probably going to have Shuck throwing it a ton again to Chris Olave and his former college teammate, as he mentioned every single time that he throws him a target, Juwan Johnson. Shuck I've liked a lot lately. This spot is another one I like. And if you told me playing Shuck at 5-6%, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May at combined 60, I'd rather play Tyler Shuck. That's kind of who I am as a DFS player, especially for large field stuff. But I think you're going to do okay dice rolling a guy like Shuck this week compared to the mega chalk that it seems like we have right now. Baker Mayfield, 6.2% ownership, 18.9 fantasy points for him. Going against Miami, a really soft matchup on paper. Probably a get well spot here for Tampa Bay, given how bad they've been lately. But Miami, overall, giving up 0.13 EPA per dropback, 0.15 EPA per pass. And again, like many of these other teams that are so bad at this point, we have enough of a sample size to be pretty confident the teams we know we want to attack. 0.22 EPA in the red zone, too. So not good numbers there. But Tampa Bay with 25.8 implied points, a little bit hard to suss out who's going to get the most targets. To me, it's easily Mike Evans with a 36% target per out run rate versus man, 33% versus zone. Nobody else in the team tops over 30. And Igbuka's obviously been mostly a disaster lately. Looks like Evans will be decently owned at 16%, so I don't think you're getting too sneaky here going Baker and Evans as opposed to the mega chalk QB. But you see Baker at 6%. Again, May, Burrow, and Trevor Lawrence around 20. I'd rather roll the dice with Baker. So same thing that we've been talking about. And Trevor Lawrence, once again, making an appearance here as your number 5 best value. It's another slate here. We have a lot of good values at QB, but we do have a few guys that are not QBs, like Michael Mayer at number 1, Ramondre at 5,900. Travion Henderson seemingly not going to play this week, or I think he's not going to play. I mean, he's been in a non-contact jersey in practice so far this week, so it seems unlikely he would play. If he somehow does, Ramondre not as much of a play, but if he's out, I mean, they've wanted to give Ramondre the workload anyway. Now they'll have the opportunity to do it against one of the worst defenses in football for the Jets. So Ramondre at 46% owned. He's the chalkiest out of everybody we talked about so far, and unfortunately, he might be the most appealing play out of all of them. Noble incentives, I don't care about. No. It's week 17. Doesn't matter week 17. Week 18, when guys are like 50 yards away, it's when it matters. But the incentive stuff, like people have milked the blood from a stone with the incentive stuff in week 15, week 16. It doesn't matter at all. Like that stuff is not something that should be a part of your process, and I'm not following it closely right now. Taysom Hill, not for me. He definitely is part of the reason that the running backs are in kind of no man's land, but I don't think he's actually a play. Frankly, it'd be hard to move away from Michael Mayer at 2,500, if I had to guess. All right, let's go to the ETR side. Actually, no, sort by ownership real fast. Didn't do that part. I think we've mostly covered some of your chalkiest plays. Though, actually, never mind. Wow. This can't hold. That's such a high projection for Jency, 20.4 fantasy points. So here's the thing. Ashton Jency here, 6,100. Giants defense, a team that we have said to attack, and I've in particular said to attack every single week when you have a running back against them. It's paid off, I mean, most of the weeks of the year, really. For Vegas here, facing a Giants defense that's now up to 0.15 EPA per rush allowed, 0.2 EPA per red zone rush allowed. They're also hovering still around a 22% avoided tackle rate, which if it were like, if the Giants amount of missed tackles were a professional running back, like on their own, that'd be one of the best running backs in football, missing about 22% of the tackles. So the Giants are just giving that up naturally. They're also bad defending the pass. So like, you definitely could get there, but we don't necessarily expect that from Geno. The agency on the year, 2.5 red zone opportunities a game, 1.1 of which are inside the 10-yard line. Look, I have no issue with Jency in this matchup. That's a crazy amount of ownership for him. And again, you have Jency, you have Ramondre, you have Jamar Chase, you have the Burrow / Trevor Lawrence, Drake May stuff. It feels like a lot of samey lineups coming together here. So with Jency and Ramondre, great price tags for both. Jency at 6,100, Ramondre at 59. I don't imagine I'll be like significantly under the field. If I had to guess, 50% optimal rate for Jency, like half my lineups have to have Jency and Ramondre, but it does seem like it's worth considering other options here because I get the sense from this ownership here that is an early version of ownership. And again, in updates, you'll kind of sink in on it a little bit more and get it tighter to where it's going to be relative to the field. This would be a crazy amount of ownership for these top plays. Like it would just mean that most of like 5 spots in most lineups are going to look the same. I don't think that's going to be the case, but Jency and Ramondre, it's really hard to argue. Genty, so soft matchup versus the Giants. Ramondre, the case for him. Again, not having Travion Henderson helps out a lot. But also for Ramondre, facing a Jets defense that on the year, 0.01 EPA per rush allowed. Anytime it's a positive number in the run game, it's good. 0.14 EPA per red zone rush allowed. Ramondre has had a 2.3 red zone opportunities a game, which is more than Travion at 2.1. I expect him to consolidate that workload. Probably get, if the opportunities are there, like 3 or 4 red zone opportunities in this game. So I think for Ramondre here, he's not as talented as, EPA wise, technically he has outplayed Ashton Genty, but I don't view him as talented as Ashton Genty. I don't view the Raiders' offense as good, though. New England's offense clearly is able to keep putting it down on everybody they're going against. I think these guys, to me, are the same play in terms of like where I want to have them. Half my lineups with Genty and Ramondre, that feels fine. But I don't think I would want to go nuts on it. Because, like, what if Dearness Johnson takes a touchdown away? The Patriots have been weird with their running back usage. So I don't think you lock button these running backs, but the ownership is basically the equivalent of a lock button. Jamar Chase, 45% ownership, only a 37% optimal rate. Again, one of your highest owned plays of the week. Certainly has a massive upside against a Cardinals defense that's not particularly good. But certainly you still have T. Higgins out there. You have a Cincinnati team that's not playing for much of anything. They do have 30.3 implied points coming their way. And certainly Joe Burrow's top target is Jamar Chase. This 12 targets a game he's had this entire year with all the QBs. Hard to make a case to fade Jamar Chase besides the fact he's just overowned. I mean, you can see it with the optimal rate here at 37%, 45% ownership. But Arizona gives up a 0.12 EPA per dropback, 0.13 EPA per pass. League average 81% catchable ball rate, but the efficiency is really the big thing there. Jamar Chase's ability to break big plays, definitely a possibility. And for what it's worth, Arizona also a very zone-heavy team, 62% zone defense rate. And Jamar Chase is getting a 30% target per out run versus zone, which is about double what T. Higgins is getting. Gesicki's at 17, so it's not even close there. I think Jamar Chase in this matchup does look particularly good. And I would say, too, Higgins, because it's not a man defense-heavy matchup, probably less good leverage than he would be if they were facing one of those teams with splits that favored a man defense. JSN, 26% ownership, about a 29% optimal rate. If you can get him in, great. He definitely seems like leverage against Jamar Chase at less ownership, but still pretty chalky overall. If I had to guess, people try to cram in Genty, Stevenson, Chase, and JSN when you look at these projections. And it's whatever QB you get with that. Michael Mayer at tight end. There's going to be an easy pathway to get all the chalk in. And I think all the chalk becomes chalk because they're good plays. But all the chalk looks good. So really don't have an issue with JSN besides the ownership. Jacoby Myers, 25% here at 5,300. Again, has been probably your best overall Jaguars receiver since they traded for him. So Jacoby Myers, no issue with that. He's now also your highest paid guy on the team. Brian Thomas still on his rookie deal. And Brian Thomas still a guy that they could trade in the offseason. It wouldn't be a shocker. The Myers at 5,300 here. Not a super exciting play, but he probably allows you to get a decent projection in and be able to get to the guys that we talked about, the pay up options and the QBs. So I get why Jacoby Myers is popping in. Still not, to me, a really compelling play, but the projection looks okay. The matchup's okay enough against the Colts. No issue with it, again, besides the ownership. Just a lot of congregated ownership in Stochastic right now. Trey McBride, 22% ownership expected, 17% optimal rate for him, is just behind Myers at number 6. McBride, though, being part of that Arizona-Cincinnati stack, if I had to guess, a lot of people will go Burrow, Chase, McBride on top. The big appeal, I think, of McBride would be that he does open up, some leverage against whatever ownership Michael Mayer comes in at. But right now, Stochastic has Mayer at 16% owned. That's not mega chalk. McBride technically higher owned. So definitely two different pathways here. And I'm sure there'll be some portion of people that play McBride with Mayer because one of the ways you can afford McBride is by playing Michael Mayer. All right, let's go to ETR next, guys. We've seen what Stochastic has for us in terms of data. Now we'll see what the ETR side of the aisle thinks would be our cash game build. Just log it in here. And guys, show some love if you can. Again, day after Christmas, I still show up here and do the work. Subscribe, hit the like button. We will keep doing this process here throughout the entire playoff season as well. So through the Super Bowl, I'm here doing these same videos here, going through projections, going through sims, going through optimals, all that stuff, because it's part of my process, and I share it with you guys here on stream. So help me out, hit that like button and subscribe. Helps me stay ahead of the YouTube algorithm, which is a big part of things here. And again, a lot of views on that Christmas video, so now I just got to try to keep up with it. So please help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll keep doing the work as best I can for you guys here. And of course, check out Stochastic, link down below to check out their options. Use 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. And that is a deal that's good for the weekly, monthly packages, all the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff. So go check it out over at Stochastic, 15% off with that promo code. And it does, of course, support the show because half the money you pay to them comes back to me. And last but not least, join the Discord. No premium video today because I have to get the NBA video done, and we also have family stuff to do this afternoon. But please do join down below. You get my data sheet updated tomorrow, and next week I think we'll be back on the grind of the premium video. So join for that, though. A week 18 game by game breakdown sounds absolutely awful, but we'll give it a shot. All right, here at ETR, let's do this next. We got our classic main slate. 9-gamer. Let's touch the projections here. Of course, you have to add a decimal point on the projections to run a cash game optimal because of DK guidelines. So that's what we do every week. And of course, the goal of the optimal is to see what ETR users get driven to projection-wise. Obviously, Stochastic, ETR, two your biggest providers. If you were to lump in Roto Grinders, Run the Sims, Saber Sim, great product too. DFS Army, which I know a lot of you guys on YouTube seem to use. I wouldn't, but you know, follow your hearts. You get a read for what those people are going to be playing. So that's what we do, this ETR process here. And I think ETR does have great data as opposed to maybe some of those other ones. Shout out Sam here. Merry Christmas all here for a quick hit and run. Okay, you can hit it and quit it. Adam Thielen or Too Gross? Kyle. Too gross. I mean, look, it's a large, if you're playing a large field GPP, you can play whatever you want, but Adam Thielen would not be one of the first 50 names that would come to mind for me personally, but you can play whatever you want. 159.8 projection on this lineup here, which would be our cash game optimal if you were playing a cash game at 11:24 a.m. on the East Coast on Friday. We got Trevor Lawrence, Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson here. So we are getting a little bit of a different RB look. We're not getting Genty right away. Actually, no, we're getting him in the flex. My bad. So we're getting the same shit as Stochastic. Stevenson, Jamar Chase, Jacoby Myers. So we are naturally getting a Jaguar stack with ETR data. Mac Hollins makes it in. Michael Mayer makes it into that $2,500 salary. ETR's projection even higher at 11 fantasy points for Michael Mayer. Nash and Genty in the flex. Patriots D. So the Ramondre Genty thing could be the same on both sites. You can see here in these top 25 optimal lineups with no variance put on. It's just a straight projection. We got Jamar Chase at 100% ownership, Ramondre at 100% ownership, Ashton Genty at 100% here. So these guys were in all the optimal lineups. That means as a result, on ETR data, you're expecting to get these guys in pretty much the majority of lineups you'll build, even if you do build some unique stacks around that. So obviously ETR thinks those guys are the best plays. But again, the logic here for large field tournaments is that if we move away from those guys, we'll be away from a large portion of the field. If you were to play, max 1 of 3, max 2 of 3, that's hit so many times this year. And I always say it, and like, yeah, I sometimes don't play it as much as I say it to. But really, that's one of the simplest things to do in DFS. You know, everybody's going to get locked into a group of like, they have this core of 3, this core of 4. Just take one of them off, and now you're away from everybody else's core. So that's going to be the core for a lot of people. Michael Mayer in only 84% of these lineups, so he is getting scooped in some of them, but definitely making a lot of them overall. Mayer and Genty together are in 80% of these lineups. It's probably a little bit higher than that, but whatever. I think that means it's only those two without any other Raiders. Team stacks here. All of the lineups. Yes, all the lineups include, well, not all of them. 90% of the lineups include at least 2 Patriots, but pretty close to all of them include at least 2 Patriots. You can see here, Drake May, again, a similar play to Stochastic, projects well, will come up a lot. But also Ramondre, Mac Hollins, the ETR data seems to be loving him, the fact he was in our cash game optimal. He's at a bunch of them up top here. Patriots D is making some of these top lineups as well. So we're going to get a lot of Patriots. Hard to critique it. I do think Brady Cook, to his credit, still is getting the ball where it's supposed to go in terms of catchable ball rate. Hold up. Let's pull up the Jets here. I got to take Tyrod off the sheet. Just want to make sure I'm giving accurate numbers for Brady Cook because he looked good heading into last week, but I want to make sure it's holding up steady. He's still an 84% catchable ball rate for Brady Cook. So the big thing for the Patriots defense part of it is like, I don't believe in Patriots D or Mac Hollins very much. If I'm going to choose my Patriots chalk, it's Ramondre by like a good margin. Raiders D is also coming up a good amount here, or Raiders overall coming up a good amount here. At least 2 Raiders are in 84% of these top 25 lineups. At least 2 Jags are in 68% of these top 25 lineups. So right away, you're seeing a lot of extra Patriots, a lot of extra Raiders, a lot of extra Jags coming in. Let's see if they have sims up, and they do. So we will build 250 here, put on our game stack settings for a main slate. And there we go. Put variants on. We'll run an ETR sim here. I'll catch them on the chat. Next year, Spags change premium membership to $14.99 or $20. Well worth it. Your advanced analytics and takes are well worth it. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words from our flows here. But yeah, I've kept the price low on purpose because like that was what the initial price was. But next year, that's a possibility. Like I'll think. I appreciate the kind words either way. Yeah, for me, like what my ideal world would be is like everybody who's a regular here is buys in for the $5 tier, because that would be to me the more equitable way to approach things. But definitely be stuff I'll think about in the offseason a little bit. For now, though, we're gonna keep rolling it as is. But I appreciate the kind words, and I'm glad it helps and adds value. I mostly just want people to pay some amount of money so like I don't have to deal with trolls. It's like that's really where we are, unfortunately, in my content creator career, which is fine. Like members only chats, like I've mentioned it to you guys before, and I'm just talking bullshit here because we're waiting for the lineups to build. But like a lot of this for me and doing these shows, like you guys know, I stream as much as anybody across NFL, across NBA every week, and best ball season, I'm sure I'll be doing some out there, even if it's not as much as I've done in previous years. But a lot of this for me is making sure I'm staying happy with what I'm doing here and enjoying the content I'm creating. And I think lately the chat, because of the growth and because people just like really talks like that Christmas Eve chat, like that guy, might be a couple guys, but like definitely one guy has followed me around for years, just makes me uncomfortable. So I'm going to focus on the stuff that makes me happy and makes better content for all the people that watch the non-live version of the videos. That's going to be a lot of my focus over this heading into 2026, I guess. But yeah, that's sort of the fallout from the Christmas video, because I know got some comments people too where people are like, well, just ignore him. And it's like, no, this is a guy that's like followed me around for years using different handles, and it's so fucking weird to me. And I don't want to think about the guys that are weird to me at this point. I just want to do the stuff like I'm good at, which is putting these videos together, giving you guys takes, and you do whatever the fuck you want with it. That's what we're going to try to do best here. And that's going to be my focus moving forward. But I appreciate all the paying members here, because I know if you're paying money, you're not going to have 3 different handles just to troll me. So that's awesome stuff when you pay that money, and I know you're not going to be a troll. Total non sequitur to what our flows is talking about, but that's my State of the Union update here. All right, we're simulating it out here. Simulations do run different on ETR versus Stochastic. On ETR, they use a replicated contest field. On Stochastic, they generate X amount of lineups as a contest pool, and you compete against those 10,000 times. So never talk about that, but we're in week 17, so I guess it's time to mention it. The simulation's almost done here. We got a nice clean 45, 50 minutes today. If you want Saturday content, I will put out my members only data tomorrow before the Saturday games, but I'm not doing any video content around Saturday's NFL slate. I'm probably not going to play a lot on it, to be honest. It looks like a kind of dog shit slate. So apologies to you guys that want Saturday content, but we're focused on the main slate this week. All right, your top ROI lineup according to ETR data. We got Lawrence at ATN stacked up again. Of course, that hit last week. How could it not hit this week? Jonathan Taylor makes it as well. So both RBs from the same game. Negative correlation for that for sure. They are theoretically inversely correlated and get leverage against each other. But, if the game environment works, it could pay off. Mike Evans, Mac Hollins, Jacoby Myers, part of that Lawrence stack. Tyler Warren, part of that Colts-Jags game stack. Ashton Genty, Raiders D. So some of the chalky plays here, but you are fading at least one of the chalky running backs to get a little bit more unique. And the ETR loves Mac Hollins. Basketball after this, you'll get redirected to the basketball video after this ends, but it's going to start at 12 because I need to rerun the NBA Sims before I do that. Jacoby Brissett, number 2 ROI lineup at ETR data. Brissett, Ramondre, Kenneth Gainwell makes this one. So we're not playing the 2 chalky RBs with Ramondre and Ashton Genty in these top ROI lineups. But Brissett with Ramondre, Gainwell, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Jamar Chase, Trey McBride. So a double stack with Brissett. And a bring back with Jamar Chase. Michael Mayer, Patriots D. Still not crazy about Gainwell. Going against Cleveland doesn't make me feel much better about it. Like, I hate timeshare backs on a main slate, but obviously Gainwell's paid off enough lately. I don't think it'd be a priority for me, but if he makes a lineup like this where you feel good about the other parts, sure. And Marvin Harrison last week, for what it's worth, did see Wilson have a decent day. Harrison played 29 snaps. Michael Wilson played 49. So it is still a lean towards Michael Wilson. Though another week of healing up for, no pun intended, for Marvin Harrison's heel. Maybe he gets up a little bit better. Maybe it's more like 45-35 favoring Michael Wilson. But I would expect it to get closer and closer as the season goes on, for as much as as much as the Cardinals are going to be playing. The one more week they're going to be playing. Drake May here at number 3 in ETR's top ROI lineups. Drake May, Travis Etienne, Ramondre is stacked up with May here. Jacoby Myers, Mac Hollins, AD Mitchell is our bring back for the Patriots stuff. As I've said, Brady Cook's getting the ball where it's supposed to go. The guys just aren't catching the ball. And they actually talked about that after the last Jets game too, where they were like, yeah, like we're not doing our job. We got to be better for him. I think Breece Hall said that after that game. AD Mitchell can hit. Like he just has to catch the ball when Brady Cook gets it where it's supposed to go. Trey McBride on the seam, Ashton Genty on the seam. So Ramondre and Genty as chalk. We got less owned by putting in AD Mitchell and I guess Drake May, technically. Titans D as well makes this lineup here at 6% ownership. Number 4, Trevor Lawrence, Ramondre, Travis Etienne, and Chris Olave. Do like Olave in the spot. Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas, so another Lawrence mega stack here. Tyler Warren is our bring back for the Jag stack. Ashton Genty makes it. Raiders D also makes it. At number 5, Drake May, Travis Etienne, Ramondre again. So there's a lot of Ramondre up top. They have not deviated from that once. Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, AD Mitchell makes it again. Hunter Henry makes it. Ashton Genty makes it. And Steelers D makes it going against Shador and the Browns. I don't hate these lineups. I think a little more Jags reliant than I would like, but I think that's my priors. And that's weird because I like Liam Cohen. Think he's a very good coach. I believed in him before the season, but the prices for the Jags got a little bit high, and as a result, it kind of ended up going against everybody besides Travis Etienne in drafts in terms of best ball. Jags are looking good, and I really didn't think they were going to play well against Denver, and they did. I don't know. I just don't buy it. I probably need to buy it now, but I have a hard time buying it. That's me just disclosing my biases to you guys so you can understand why I'm not as stoked about the Jags coming up so much, but they're coming up because they're good data plays, so you get it. Highest ROI players overall, Colts D, so getting leverage against the Jags. Obviously, we're playing a lot of Jags, so ETR does that generally, where it will give you the opposite side in your portfolio too. Rashid Shaheed, 210% ROI, barely getting played, but when he hits, he probably gives you a lot of leverage against a guy like JS said. He'll be very highly owned and well projected in ETR data. Darren Waller and Quinn Ewers make it, so the opposite side of that Bucs game. Bucs pass defense definitely not as bad as Miami's pass defense, but that could be a shootout game, and Quinn Ewers, let me look at his numbers real fast. Quinn Ewers up to a 79% catchable ball rate, 0.02 EPA per pass. Not great per dropback, not great per run, negative 1.6 EPA on those plays. He's handling pressure incredibly well, though. 0.5 EPA on the pressured plays for Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is also 4,300. I don't hate it. As somebody that is a known lover of shitty QBs and hoping they can hit tournament upside, I think Quinn Ewers is actually a pretty nice play here. And that ROI, not a lot of ownership, but when he does hit pretty meaningfully. And then Drake May, despite being very chalky in ETR data, he is your 5th highest ROI at 190% ROI, rounded up here. Raiders D, Jalen Waddle not too far behind it. Jets D coming up a little bit as well. So again, getting leverage on the highly owned Patriots. Let's go to Stochastic next. Make sure we're logged in and good to go here. All right. Stochastic here, we're going to build our 10,000 lineups, have them compete 10,000 times. Second to last stage in our journey, guys. Again, one more ask. Please do hit that like button. Please subscribe. Ultimately, I'm just one guy here showing you my gambling as best I can across the NFL, across the NBA. And I will keep doing that throughout the entire NFL season, including the Super Bowl. So other channels die off. Other channels stop doing the work. I work even harder. And that's probably an addictive personality trait. But I'll still be here, guys. So please hit the like button, subscribe. It really does go a long way for me here. I do the best I can. And hopefully it shines through, especially if you watched every week, but even if you watch a few. I come prepared. I use the best data I possibly can. My friends over at Sports Info Solutions have given me all the tools in my arsenal I need to break down football. And that's what we do here. So join along for the ride. Check out Stochastic too. The sim I'm about to show you, it's going to update. You get the updated version for yourself. That promo code SPLASH, 15% off. Click the link down below. Go over there and you use that promo code when you sign up, and you will get that money off weekly, monthly, cheap stuff, expensive stuff, all of it. And last but not least, join the Discord here. It is $5 to join. Goes a long way to support the show. And the bigger this channel gets, the more I would love to have members here. Just know that, you guys are part of the community here, helping support what I'm doing. Because frankly, if I could live off just, memberships, that'd be sick. That'd be a great way to do things. And I'm beholden to nobody. And I could really talk shit everything. But no, join the channel. It does support me. It does help the show. And of course, if you enjoy content like this, whether it's me or other channels you like, support them because it does go a long way to making sure that they're doing what they're doing, keep growing, and, you know, if nothing else, staying afloat. A rookie takes coming soon. They pretty much have to. So, yeah, I guess I have to plan for that. It's tough with the, it was tough last year at the NBA crossover, but what I'll likely do is take one of my showdown days when we're into the playoffs and turn that into a weekly rookie preview. But I'll still do it. Yeah. You're gonna get less big board content for me because I'm unless Underdog comes back to the table, I don't foresee promoting them too heavily this year. But we'll see. It all depends on how best ball looks these last few weeks. There's a lot of stuff up in the air for me, but yes, you will get your rookie takes coming soon. Top ROI lineups according to Stochastic data. We got Tyler Shuck, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, Trey Tucker, Juwan Johnson, Ashton Jeanty, Dolphins D. So I said before, I like the Tyler Shuck stack. We're getting it up top here. We're getting the good parts of it with Olave and Juwan Johnson. Trey Tucker, not the most exciting play in the world, but you know, it's the Giants defense. They are pretty bad. And we're getting Jeanty as well. Dolphins D versus the Bucks, I don't love, but the rest of the lineup works for me. Number 2 is Seattle double stack. Sam Darnold, Travis Etienne again. So both sites, loving Etienne a lot up top. Etienne, Ramondre, JSN, Mike Evans, Trey Tucker again. That is surprising. AJ Barner, Ashton Jeanty, Browns D. So Stochastic not willing to fade Ramondre and Jeanty so far. And really the Etienne, Ramondre, and Jeanty trio might just be your chalk RB trio for Stochastic that comes up in like every lineup. Number 3 is a Raiders triple. We got Geno Smith, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, JSN, Jamar Chase, Trey Tucker, Michael Mayer, Ashton Jeanty, Steelers D. I don't really want to play a Geno stack at this point, but if you are going to play a Geno stack against the Giants, when a lot of people are going to play the RB, probably the time to do it. Number 4 is a Cincinnati double with a bring back. We got Joe Burrow, Travis Etienne yet again, Ashton Jeanty yet again, JSN yet again, Jamar Chase yet again, T. Higgins added on top. Elijah Higgins makes it. Michael Mayer, Jets D. Does not seem like the time to play Elijah Higgins, but it's a really high total game, so you might get ancillary pieces from Cincinnati, Arizona because of that. And number 5, you got Joe Burrow, Ashton Jeanty, Ramondre Stevenson, JSN, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Taysom Hill makes it. There we go. Chunk is happy with that. Michael Mayer, Bucks D. So really for these both these Burrow stacks, you're paying down at tight end for 2 guys to be able to afford all the other stuff around it. And you are fading one of the 3 RBs that they like a lot with Etienne, Jeanty, and Ramondre. Interesting lineups. I think this is kind of an interesting slate. Like to see the chalk be so concentrated, I'm curious to see if that holds when, you know, all these sites update their data. But I think there's still ways to get unique on the slate and feel good about it. But we'll see. Michael Mayer, 10% ROI, your number 1 ROI guy according to Stochastic's data here. Trey Tucker at number 2. He's 3,800 and probably allows you to afford a lot of the better guys. Tucker's, I feel like his numbers just never stand out for me. He's still got a 16% target per out run. He's been this team's wide receiver 1 for like weeks. The Trey Tucker, man, I don't know. He can get there on one play. I guess it's a positive at 3,800. Giants a heavy man defense team. He's not particularly good versus man. Only 1.1 yards per out run versus man on the year. He's only getting 1.2 overall. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about the Trey Tucker, but when Stochastic does highlight these guys, I try to think about it a little bit more, but certainly I think having some Trey Tucker is a good idea because Stochastic really does highlight a player almost every week where it's like, oh, this guy, I don't fucking see this at all. And then he ends up hitting. I think Trey Tucker might be the guy this week. Or Elijah Higgins, perhaps. Also 2,500. Direct leverage on the $2,500 Michael Mayer. How many snaps did he play last week? I know a lot of you guys like Elijah Higgins because he's a converted receiver. Played 36 snaps last week, 46 the week before that, 41 before that. I don't think he's doing a whole lot with it. Let's see, where's Higgins at? Elijah Higgins, 14% target per out run, 0.3 red zone targets a game, no deep targets. I don't think it's as good of a play as Michael Mayer. But, you know, he's coming up here at number 3 ROI, 4% ROI according to Stochastic data. Browns D right behind him. Taysom Hill behind them. Geno Smith not too far behind. And Tyler Shuck also not too far behind. High stack ROIs in a single stack. Nobody's got a positive number, but Tyler Shuck, Joe Burrow, and Baker Mayfield are your top 3. Double stacks, Geno Smith and Tyler Shuck both have ROIs above 10% for a double. Joe Burrow, though, has a slightly negative number as the third highest ROI in a QB double stack. Triple stack, we've got Geno Smith, 35% ROI, Tyler Shuck, 9, Jackson Dart, 2, Drake May also rounded up 2. So triple stacks definitely favorable in the Sims, but they always are. Highest exposure players in Stochastic's top 150. Ashton Jency makes 90% of them. Fields at 60, they want you to get 90. So that's a big stand there. 30% leverage. Ramondre Stevenson, 85% exposure. Fields at 45. Massive stands on these guys. So I was thinking like 55% ownership for me. Based on the sim here, I mean, getting 90, it's just like really makes all of your lineups look very samey. I never loved that. 66% feels like enough of these guys. I don't know. Jamar Chase, 48% exposure, Fields at 45. So still positive leverage there, though not nearly as positively leveraged as Ashton Jency and Ramondre. Of course, wide receiver ceilings are a lot more volatile, so you kind of get why that would be. Michael Mayer, 41% exposure. Fields is about to be at 15. He has minimum salary with no Brock Bowers, so certainly getting above the field, almost 3x the field. I don't mind that. JSN at 41%, Fields at 27, so that is a 14% positive leverage stand on him. Stochastic likes all your chalkiest players and is getting above the field on them. Steelers D, also a huge exposure stand here, 39% exposure, Fields at 20. Your most positively leveraged plays, Ramondre, 39% more in the field. Ashton Jency, 30% more in the field. Michael Mayer, 26% more in the field. Juwan Johnson, 22% more in the field. He is in about a third of Stochastic's top 150 lineups. So if they're not playing Michael Mayer, seemingly they are loving to get to Juwan Johnson. Trey Tucker, 21% more in the field. Not a surprise given how high those ROI lineups were with Trey Tucker. But 30% exposure on Trey Tucker here. Fields at 9. It's a big stand on old Trey Tucker. And Steelers D, Chris Olave, not too far behind in the leverage department. Negative leverage, we got Jonathan Taylor, negative 15% under the field. Field's going to play him about 25% of the time. And Stochastic wants it to be around 10. Trey McBride, negative 13% leverage. You're also playing him around 10. Fields at 22 and change. Trevor Lawrence, negative 12% leverage, only 7% exposure. So he is one of the chalk QBs that Stochastic is fading here. ETR loves him, though. Jalen Waddle, negative 11% leverage. Only 7% of lineups have him. Fields at 17. Good matchup on paper. Waddle, though, is the guy most likely to get sat in the middle of the game because he's been banged up and he's also just not seemingly in, watching a few Dolphins games lately. Doesn't look the most motivated to be out there. So Jalen Waddle, I'm cool being under the field on it. I don't think I need 17% of him. Tyler Warren, negative 9% leverage, just ahead of Saquon Barkley at negative 7. Brian Thomas at negative 6. Let's do a hand build here for the last stage of our journey, guys. Then we will go over to the NBA channel. Well, NBA video at 12. I'm going to take the time in between to update all my shit. But let's do this single lineup sim here. Large contest, 25% to first. Oops, there's my alarm saying to do a stream. All right, QB. Let's skip over QB for now. Let's put in the stuff that we know Stochastic likes. If I'm building one lineup, I'm putting in Ramondre. I'm putting in Genty. Am I putting in ATN? Would be the question. No Tootin, I think, is probably helping out ATN a lot in terms of the projection. ATN played 49 snaps last week, which was, in fact, the most he's played this year. He's played 46, 47 a few times, but not 49. And now he's playing the Colts, who are not great. Let's just put ATN in. Not Trevor Etienne, unfortunately, for that one guy who was the most wrong. In case you missed it earlier in the year, it still makes me laugh when I see Trevor Etienne's name. It was the week where Rico Dowdle first hit filling in for Chuba Hubbard, and some guy came in the chat, and again, not paying accounts. And we're going to miss some of these takes, unfortunately, moving forward. The guy was like, I wouldn't play a single share Rico Dowdle. I'd play Trevor Etienne over him. I'm going to play a lot of Trevor. Trevor Etienne's done absolutely nothing this year. And it was, in fact, that was the week that Rico Dowdle went for like 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. He didn't actually do those numbers, but Tecmo Bowl, Bo Jackson numbers. And that's how it goes. But one of the worst takes ever. Travis Etienne, though, looking good here. We'll put him in. We're also going to put in Michael Mayer here so we know how much we have to spend. Mayer at tight end. We're probably just building a cash game build at this point, but I think it'll sim okay. We're not going to do the Bengals Burrow stack. That I'm going to leave no matter what. Do I still want to play Jamar Chase is the question. I'm going to go no. For now, I'm going to go no. Chris Olave is up to 7,200. It's pretty expensive. But I like Olave here. I think I'm going to go with an Olave Shuck pairing. Frankly, I could go Ewers, but if I have Ewers, I probably want to have tight end or flex open, and I don't have those. So I'm going to go with Shuck here. Wouldn't mind adding Juwan Johnson onto this. I'm going to take out ATN. I like ATN, but this will give me the double stack. Don't think I would do a bring back for Tennessee here because what would you do? None of it. Let's put in our defense as well. Patriots D getting to Brady Cook. Don't mind it. Seahawks D getting to Bryce Young. That all seems pretty decent at much less ownership. I'm going to go that way. I'm going to go Seahawks D. 7,600 left for 2 spots. I feel like you just have to put in Jamar Chase at this point. Jamar Chase, then 6,900 left would give us. We have to leave money on the table to play Mike Evans here. I think Mike Evans is in a good spot. And as Robert Griffin III pointed out earlier in the chat, he does need 700 yards in the next 2 games to hit 1,000. So he's got to start making it up now. So the team here, we're simming out. We got Tyler Shuck, Ramondre, Ashton Genty, Chris Olave, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, Michael Mayer, Juwan Johnson, Seahawks D, 60% ROI, easy peasy, 0.2% win rate. Finishes top 10, 2.3% of the time. We're not cashing all the time, but that's okay. It's a large field tournament lineup. So 38% cash rate. Done. Video done. We did it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else. So, one last run through plugs, guys. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. I am just one creator doing the work of a whole production team here. But I do it because I love it. I do it because I like giving you guys my takes, and I know it adds some value to so many of you guys out there. And I appreciate all you guys who do tell me that, to give the kind words, especially in this time of year. I know it's easy for some people to go the other way, and be toxic for no reason because they're mad at their own lives. But hey, for you guys that are out there that are actual human beings, I think you'll enjoy this content. If nothing else, you'll get good takes out of it, and you can do whatever you want with it. Play your own way. Play your Taysom Hills. I don't care. Stochastic, also 15% off. Link down below. Check it out if you want to get that 15% off the promo code SPLASH. It is a good deal. It does support the show. Half the money you pay to them comes back to me, and that's weekly packages, monthly, any sport you want. Get it all for 15% off the promo code SPLASH. And of course, last but not least, join the Discord. If you want to be part of the live chats now, you got to be a member, but also if you want to be in the Discord, chatting up stuff, venting, whatever you need to do. But also mostly just talking ball, giving football takes, chatting about Christmas Day games, all that stuff. Our Discord has it for you, so join for $5. You'll be in the mix. And yeah, make sure to gamble responsibly, guys. It is always money time here, but you still should do that. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the channel at SplashPlayPod on Twitter, on YouTube. NBA video coming up in a little bit, guys, so keep your eyes peeled there on the at SplashPlayBets channel, or if you are on Twitter, you'll see it in the same spot. I will be on some shows this weekend. I'll be on the NBA Stochastic Live Before Lock show Saturday and tonight. It's on Sunday, NFL Live Before Lock on Stochastic as well. Again, this is our last real slate, so I'll try to bring my A game as best I can. Hope you guys do as well. But I will see you guys again soon. Again, hope it was a good Christmas, a good holiday season for you guys, no matter what you were doing. Enjoy it while you can. And good luck, guys. Bye-bye.